Chapter 2183, The Terrifying Mechanical Warfare. The highly advanced Wulwan Empire naturally wouldn't rely solely on flesh and blood soldiers for their front lines, they also possessed their own mechanical war beasts. These centipede-shaped mechanical beasts could move swiftly underground, even traversing the earth to conduct covert operations. As the most important emergency measure after the heavenly Iron Curtain was breached, they made their appearance. The heads of these massive war beasts were covered with dense clusters of emerald green eyes, laser weapon emitters and wide-area surveillance monitors. They crawled out along the city walls in dense swarms, blocking the breach. Whoosh! Laser beams poured forth like a torrential downpour. The centipede war beasts and mechanical lifeforms, separated by vast distances, initiated a long-range barrage of energy. Both sides were machines, utterly fearless of death. The storm of energy obliterated countless units on both sides, yet the mechanical lifeforms swiftly surged forward, reaching the city walls at incredible speed. Losing thousands of mechanical lifeforms was insignificant. Once they breached this line of defense, they could destroy everything without restraint. Moreover, behind them loomed 12 terrifying supersized mechanical lifeforms and 3 super warships. Light pollution blanketed hundreds of miles of the walled area. Laser weapons exploded in a dazzling display like fireworks, their energy reactions sending shivers down the spine. Even the human warriors watching from the rear couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat at the sight. Had they charged alongside the mechanical legion just now, they would likely have perished on the battlefield in no time. The mutants from the 6 major regions, witnessing this spectacle, all harbored an utterly absurd thought. Combined, the 6 major regions might not even be enough to take on Zhang Yi's team. Of course, they had contributed a significant amount of energy. But the most crucial technology and weaponry all came from Zhang Yi's team. A massive combat-type mechanical life form rumbled to the base of the city walls. A thick, long mechanical centipede war beast plummeted from the ramparts, unleashing a green energy beam directly at it. The mechanical life form deployed its energy shield, deflecting the attack. Yet in the blink of an eye, both sides plunged into close combat. The air was filled with the explosive crackling of machinery and the jarring screech of steel snapping. The scene of these fearless mechanical life forms and war beasts battling was brutally savage. Green oil flowed like blood, staining the entire battlefield below the city walls. Cracks in the heavenly Iron Curtain rapidly patched themselves, though the process was painfully slow. Yet the slowly advancing colossal mechanical life forms offered no opportunity for repair, relentlessly pounding the barrier with their main cannons, preventing any healing. Liu Karen, commander of the 3 super warships, held back from using their main cannons. Such weapons consumed immense energy and must be reserved for critical moments. When necessary, these 3 warships could plunge into the Wulwan Empire, their sheer massive and sturdy hulls alone capable of inflicting devastating destruction. SSSH. The battle did not last for too long before the Huashu Kingdom forces gained absolute dominance. After all, the Eastern City War Zone faced internal turmoil and external threats, making it difficult to truly consolidate sufficient combat strength for resistance. Although reinforcements were being dispatched from other war zones, the current troop strength in this single zone was indeed insufficient. Moreover, in terms of industrial technology, those centipede-type mechanical war beasts were far inferior to the mechanical life forms of the Zhang tribe. The mere presence of energy shields alone placed them at a decisive disadvantage. They might hold their own against smaller mechanical life forms. However, when larger war machines entered the fray, those centipedes found themselves utterly overwhelmed. Among the war-type mechanical life forms, one variant stood over 20 meters tall. Their legs were equipped with gears, yet they could extend 8 mechanical arms like an octopus, enabling combat across any terrain. Their upper bodies featured humanoid torsos with 4 arms. Not only could they wield large-caliber laser cannons, but in close combat, those 4 massive iron fists could easily crush a train flat. In hand-to-hand combat, the technological gap became instantly apparent. Even the mechanical war beasts, 7 or 8 times larger than the war beasts, gained no advantage in direct collisions. Instead, their armor shattered instantly upon impact. Those terrifying beasts charged beneath the city walls, plunging directly through gaps in the heavenly Iron Curtain. Their mere descent sent hundreds of lizard-men warriors flying. Bang and Ryan swiftly positioned themselves in front of it. Bang opened his right palm, where a yellow, translucent energy sphere coalesced before being driven forcefully into the ground. In that instant, a surge of high energy erupted from beneath the war beasts, violently hurling it away. But knocking back one was utterly insufficient. More war beasts charged forward in succession. Employing the most primitive method, they raised energy shields to block the mechanical war beasts' energy blasts. Then, extending all four arms, they tore the machines apart as easily as shredding spicy snacks, sending oil and armor fragments flying everywhere. The mechanical civilization was of a completely different technological level. The lizardmen soldiers were stunned. The intensity of the human assault far exceeded their wildest expectations. This crushing, devastating defeat instilled in them a profound sense of despair. Within the palace, the royal elders watching the battlefield were left speechless, their bodies growing icy cold. Which civilization is attacking us? Emperor Sui roared in fury, slamming his palm onto the table. I absolutely refuse to believe this is the army of that feeble human nation. After all, from start to finish, aside from that detestable figure clad in black armor, they hadn't seen a single sixth-generation human. His roar couldn't mask the panic within him, for his arm was already trembling slightly. Peace had lasted too long, even a wise ruler could not remain composed. He could tolerate the Wulwan Empire's long-range forces failing in campaigns against other civilizations, but he could not accept the flames of war reaching his own homeland. Your Majesty, do not worry. Reinforcements from the major districts have arrived. This is nothing. A minister offered reassurance. All major districts' movements were within their sight, and they could see the vanguard had already reached the city walls. Sui gave no reply, only staring fixedly at the massive projections ahead, silently praying within. Simultaneously, his gaze kept drifting toward the sky. Above the Wulwan Empire, near the Earth's edge, hung a colossal sphere formed from realm-binding chains. Chapter 2184, Level Everything. Uncle Jinglu, you must resolve this battle swiftly. The longer it drags on, the heavier the casualties among our Wulwan Empire's people. Sui prayed silently. They understood better than anyone that the decisive factors in war were, first, the military superiority granted by a civilization's level, second, the strength of its top-tier extraordinary individuals. In fact, more often than not, the latter proved more crucial. For only the most exceptional extraordinary individuals could truly stand against the very best. The mechanical legions swiftly scaled the city walls and closed in upon the lizardmen forces. These indestructible steel and iron behemoths had once drawn the entire human alliance's forces to their lands in Fremons, before eventually averting a major crisis. Now, the weak defenses of the eastern city were breached with ease. From the heavenly Iron Curtain above, powerful laser beams rained down relentlessly. Though a breach had been torn open, its formidable autonomous defense capabilities remained intact, continuing their protective duties. Yet the sheer numbers of the Mechanical Legion were overwhelming. A terrifying spectacle unfolded. With the outer defenses breached, the colossal mechanical lifeforms advanced unimpeded, their heavy footsteps echoing, boom, boom. They advanced step by step toward the city walls. Their destructive power far exceeded that of other war machines, hundreds of times over. More and more mechanical lifeforms poured into the city. The lizardmen forces fought desperately, while reinforcements from surrounding lizardmen clans closed in. Unmanned aerial combat units swarmed like bees, bullets raining down upon the mechanical lifeforms. Yet their defenses were formidable, laser weapons were nullified by energy shields, while conventional ammunition couldn't pierce their thick armor. Bang and Ryan felt a chill run through their bodies. No one could have imagined this battle would escalate so rapidly into the current chaos. The enemy seemed to have zeroed in on their vital points, relentlessly exploiting their weaknesses. Logically, the heavenly Iron Curtain shouldn't have been breached this swiftly. Yet the enemy had precisely calculated its defenses and prepared perfectly tailored offensive tactics. The entire offensive flowed without a single hesitation, as if rehearsed countless times. And indeed, that was precisely the case. Everything unfolded exactly as Yang Xinxin had calculated. Wargaming simulations. With sufficient intelligence, battlefield developments could be fully predicted. These were merely inevitable outcomes within her expectations. Moreover, it wasn't just that. Everything that followed would also proceed without surprise. Yang Xinxin did not linger in the command center. The moment the heavenly Iron Curtain was breached and the Mechanical Legion's iron hooves crossed the city walls into the territory of the Wulwan Empire, everything had become a foregone conclusion. There would be no surprises. She had more important matters to attend to. Namely, disabling the Wulwan Empire's self-destruct system. She turned to face the Labrador and Professor Da Vinci. "Gentlemen, please accompany me to the imperial capital of the Wulwan Empire." Beside her stood a robust female warrior. An Epsilon-ranked mutant from the southwest region, Snow Mithreya, Bam. With Yang Xinxin's current strength, she could have completed the mission solo with high probability of success. However, this time, Zhang Yi, to ensure absolute safety, had prepared security measures for every mutant participating in the mission. Possessing formidable close combat abilities, Bam served as Yang Xinxin's bodyguard. As for the other members of the team, each had their own specific tasks. The most difficult mission, naturally, fell to Yang Xinxin and Brian. 3 Epsilon-level mutants, plus a Frankenstein monster whose strength was unknown but absolutely not to be underestimated. Only such a combination could reliably control the self-destruct system of the Wulwan Empire. "Alright, this is incredibly challenging, isn't it? Let's go!" Professor Da Vinci's face lit up with excitement. He thoroughly enjoyed such thrilling adventures. Before the operation began, he raised his right wrist, where a watch-like device was strapped. Professor Da Vinci simply pressed a button on the watch. Instantly, a transparent membrane unfolded from it, enveloping his entire body. "Perfect! Let's go!" Seeing this, Yang Xinxin couldn't help but ask, "What is that? Columbia's latest tech battlesuit?" Professor Da Vinci gave a cryptic smile. No. This is my personal patent. Why would I just hand out the real good stuff to them?" Brian whispered in explanation, "Mainly because this super suit is ridiculously expensive. The professor embezzled a lot of research funds just to..." "Shut your mouth." The group left the command center. The front lines were engulfed in fierce combat. The opening, already breached, widened under the relentless assault of the Mechanical Legion, now stretching into a massive, kilometer-long fissure. Yang Xinxin and the others merely glanced at the swarming legion of lizard-man war beasts and ordinary lizard-man warriors ahead before choosing another route into the Wulwan Empire. This was no longer their concern. Other Huashu Kingdom forces would handle this sector. Yang Xinxin, accompanied by Bam, activated the exoskeleton armor's stealth mode and headed directly toward the Imperial City District. Brian and Da Vinci followed suit. Under normal circumstances, this armor mode couldn't evade detection by the Eye of Heaven network. But now, with the front lines engulfed in fierce combat and chaos reigning everywhere due to Zhang Yi's detonation of the Reaper of Love, they could slip through the confusion. City walls shattered and collapsed, allowing ever-increasing numbers of mechanical lifeforms to flood into the city like a torrent. Their objective was simple: annihilate all lizard men who dared resist, along with the war machines under their command. Yet behind them, the 50,000 standby troops of the Huashu Kingdom bore a far greater mission. First, eradicate every last living force of the Wulwan Empire. Second, exterminate every single lizard man within the entire Wulwan Empire. Under the cover of the Mechanical Legion, they charged deep into Wulwan territory. The explosions of machinery and the chaotic crisscross of laser weapons had transformed the landscape into a scene of hell. Most of the lizardmen's forces had been obliterated in the earlier explosions, leaving fewer than 20,000 surviving soldiers. Yet even these naturally formidable soldiers were no easy foes. but the soldiers arriving today were no ordinary humans. They were the elite of the elite, the cream of the crop from the entire Huashu kingdom. Facing enemies 2 or 3 times their size, they charged forward with weapons drawn and fought.